fantastic. I mean, there are so many players you could mention from that match, not just the ones that got the goals, but every single one, the substitutes that came on as well. And Daniel Farke's probably been smiling from ear to ear since that moment till now. But there's a job to do tonight, obviously, like Stu says, against a team that are actually in pretty good form at the moment.
I think the only man that didn't break sweat in that game was Meslier, the goalkeeper. He made one save in that game. And I was just watching him warming up, because all the football was in the other end of the field. So he'll be fresh to go tonight. And we're coming up against a team tonight, Rich, that obviously if we are mentally not switched on, we don't apply ourselves properly, Coventry will create chances. They've got a number of stats suggest that they're very good in the final third. And Frank Lampard has actually turned them around incredibly well after what Mark Robbins had done there previously. I know the fans were in shock, but the season didn't seem to be going anywhere. So we've got to turn up with the same attitude and be ready to go. Yeah, we saw Dan James there just chatting with a mascot. He was outstanding at the weekend, scored a goal, set a couple up, won the penalty as well. I was really interested in the question that you asked him, Stu, after the match. You were talking about, yes, this is a great result, but how do you keep the players, particularly younger ones, less experienced ones, their feet on the ground? Because as fans, as us watching, I mean, I'm getting as carried away as anyone, but actually it's just 3 points, isn't it, at the end of the day? And it was really interesting that you asked Dan that question. How do they go about doing that?
Yeah, I think, Dan touched on it. He's not really that vocal and stuff. He leaves it to everybody else, and he tends to do his talking on the pitch. But I think there does tend to be a bit with the younger lads, of course it does, because they're excited. They've just won with a huge scoreline. But, judging by the results that the team has had, certainly of late, it suggests to me that they have no problem focusing on going forward every game and taking it as it is. I think the manager is really, really good at that too. He's really calm. He doesn't get carried away. I've said it so many times on here. He doesn't get carried away when the team win. He doesn't get too down when the team lose. So I think he's really good at keeping a lid on it as well. But I think the results suggest that this group is focused and they know what they need to achieve this season. I could have done with Stewie's advice when we were in the Premier League, 99-2000, when we were top at Christmas after beating Derby. We came back, thought we'd run the league, went to the Peacock over the road, had a lock-in, little stupid o'clock in the morning, got carried away, and then the season fizzled out. It's funny.
Nobody had the advice that he had.
It's funny, because that's one thing that Marcelo always said to us when we had won. I remember we beat Middlesbrough here just before Christmas, 4-0 I think it was, and there was a sense of unhappiness with Marcelo after, because he always thought that when we won by such a big scoreline that we tend to relax for the next game, and he didn't like it. So it's just funny, the different comparisons that there is, really.
Look, there's relaxing and there's going for a lock-in at the Peacock, isn't there, Bridgie? I mean, it's a slightly different thing. You mentioned about the group. The groups remain the same in terms of incoming, some transfer deadline day. We were kind of chatting at the weekend. Daniel Farke the club looked to bring someone in. As it is, it will remain this group now for the rest of the season. Bridgie, your thoughts on that? There was some talk about perhaps bringing in an extra bit of firepower up front. We've seen that we've got players that can score plenty of goals, but what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it would have been great for the fans, for ourselves, to see another player come in. But me and Stewie touched on it there. It's got to be the right person in the right position, with the right attitude, because you do not want to disrupt the harmony in this group at this moment in time. And I think if we maybe had a number of injuries, then we would have seen something happen and get somebody in. But Daniel Farke's touched on it. The squad at the moment, like with the strength and quality we saw coming off the bench the other day, there's teams in this division would cry out for them players that are on the bench to be in their team. So I think that they would definitely be looked at player-wise, but if the right person's not available and there's no reason to do it, we're sitting top. It comes off the back of a 7-0 defeat. And I still think squad-wise that we are absolutely spot on and on course to take this league by storm.
Sorry, Rich, I think it's interesting how people react as well, because if you look at the squad that they have at the start of the season, if you just look at the squad, people go, Leeds' strength and depth will walk the league, and then all of a sudden, your rivals around you start signing players and you begin to panic. But there's no need to panic. The squad that they have here is incredible. You still have Patrick Bamford to come in, and we all know he's had his injury struggles, but a fit and firing Patrick Bamford's as good as anybody in this league. So possibly the number 10 position could they have strengthened, but obviously the targets that they wanted weren't they weren't able to get them, so they weren't going to bring somebody in just off a panic buy.
Okay, well, let's get some thoughts ahead of tonight's match. It's a big one, isn't it, down at Coventry? Leeds looking to build on that huge win at the weekend, and one player that was integral to everything good about Leeds United was Junior Firpo. 3 assists at the weekend. Let's get his thoughts ahead of tonight's match.
Well, Junior, big win at the weekend, but I guess that doesn't really count for a great deal now because you got another tough test here tonight, haven't you?
Yeah, no, as I said, championship is relentless, and it doesn't matter what we did last weekend. We just have to be focused on today. I think it's a pretty tough and important game because obviously we know that away at home is our, I'll say, Achilles, because at home we are doing really well at the minute. So I just hope to have a great game like the other day and have a great result.
You come up against a side who are doing pretty well at the moment, aren't they? 4 wins going into this one, so they'll be in a really good mood, I guess.
Yeah, no, they are in really good form. Obviously, 4 wins in a row gives you a lot of confidence. But you know, also Cardiff came in a really, really good run, decent run, and obviously the game went how it went. I just think we have to be focused on ourselves. If we do the things that we have to do right, we will have a great chance to win the game.
We talk about pressure, but do you feel the pressure, or do you just enjoy the situation?
Nah, I think everyone enjoyed this kind of pressure. You know, it's much more difficult be fighting for another things, or like be fighting for relegation or things like that. Obviously, be fighting for promotion is such a nice thing, and then I just enjoy every day, every game.
Junior Firpo there ahead of tonight's match. He does start in the starting 11, unsurprisingly. It's just one change from the weekend. It's Ilya Gruev who comes in for Joe Rothwell in midfield. We spoke before that Cardiff game. It was a flip around of that, and obviously Junior Firpo came in as well. So I'll ask you the same question that I did before that game, Bridgie. Why do you think he's gone with that today? This seems to be was in the Burnley game as well, away from home. Is there something you've seen there?
Just about to say, I think it's more like when you're away from home to keep a bit more defensive, structure inside with Gruev in there with Tanaka in front of the back four. I think he likes it, and I think it showed against Burnley. I mean, it was a nothing game for us as well, really. But when you come away from Burnley with a point, you would take that. And I just think, it's a good way to keep the players happy as well. As much as I like Rothwell, because what he gives us in the attacking sense and offensive, Stewie talked about the way he drives with the ball. I think that suits us at home, but away from home, Gruev, it's all about keeping possession. And I think the way his energy levels, he breaks up play, and I just think he can play between the lines absolutely lovely.
Is this something, Stewie, that we might see a little bit? Do you think that different games will require different players for different roles? And actually, the manager has that luxury of being able to pick from a pool of players that can offer those slight nuanced differences that in a different game can help, maybe.
I think so, and I think this is a perfect example of it. I think when I look at Coventry and I look at their midfield, they're very, very strong. They like a lot of crosses into the box and midfielders making late runs. So I think obviously Ilya will help in that department too. But certainly then you look at the fullback position and Junior obviously keeping his position, but when we're comparing today till Burnley, obviously Sam was at left back, so they're a bit more attacking down that side as well. So he has players, he has strength and depth, and he's using it well at the minute. Okay,
at the weekend it was an incredible performance, the biggest victory at home for Leeds United since 1972. We were like, have we overdone it, showing all the goals? Should we show them again? And then we were like, yeah, let's do that. It
was the Dan James show first half.
It really was,
because
wasn't it?
the way around the keeper there, and I thought he was going to slot it home, but he was so unselfish. He waited for his moment after a dodgy touch, and he found Aronson that got us on our way early doors, and then it was just total control. And the way the passes were going through the lines, Joel Peru dropping in, and when he does that, you need forward runners, and yet again DJ picking out Solomon. So when you are playing and getting assists, I used to love getting assists as well as goals. You know what I mean? You see, that's what you were judged on. And DJ's stats have gone through the roof this season. It's just great to see. Because he deserves it, because he's a cracking lad.
Stewie, watching this unfold and watching it back again now, just looks like a team that understand what each player's doing, that have clicked into gear, that are fluid and flowing nicely. That's what it looks like here when it all clicks like that.
I think I said it a few weeks ago that even when we were winning, that I still thought this team had more, and Saturday was a perfect example again of that. I thought everything was just, as you say, was clicking, but the combinations between certain players is becoming better and better every week, and you know, the manager seems to be more settled now on, especially the front lads. You know, set on a team now. So yeah, they're beginning to hit form at the right stage of the season, I would say.
As a coach, and manager, and the staff, there's nothing better than realising when your team are 2, 3, 4-0 up going into the latter half of the game, because you can change and rest your best players knowing that you're going to have them fresh again to go. And I think we saw that once again. And then the players that come on made an absolute impact because they're dying to get a taste of the action. Nonto got himself involved in the goal. Matteo Joseph gets himself involved. So all in all, this team is absolutely flying. Tanaka took one in the jaw there. That was brilliant.
He really did get clattered on that celebration, and sort of an elbow to the face. It was interesting hearing Daniel Farke after the match, sort of saying, you know, as a former striker, how great it must be. I mean, if you're a number 9 in this team, Bridgie, I mean, you know, you're a striker yourself. The wide players, Bogle, Solomon, Firpo, Dan James, and whoever else comes on, these balls coming in here are just there to be snapped up, aren't they?
Striker's dream. You time the run. Stu made a massive comment the other day, and a very relevant one, about Matteo Joseph, how he made his runs near post, and sometimes he goes too far past his near post. What he did there, he went into an area where you see the goal open up for yourselves. And when we've got players that can deliver, like Firpo, Solomon, Dan James, Aronson, you're going to score goals in this team. You've got to make sure you're in the right position at the right time. And I think that was a massive confidence booster for Matteo.
9 players now for the team have got over 3 goals this season, which is it's quite unusual, really, when you look at a squad for that many players to be chipping in. But they really are coming from all over the place. Look, it helps when you have a 7-0, obviously, but they really are the players that are contributing from all areas of the pitch.
They are, yeah, and I as an opposition, I would honestly hate to be playing against them lads out there, because they just seem so confident. They know exactly where to be, and you know, they know each other's movements as well. But it's huge for a promotion chasing team to have goals coming from all over the park. You know, and they're not just solely relying on a Joel Peru or a Matteo Joseph or Patrick Bamford or some. You know, it's to have it coming from all over is incredible, and you know, credit to the manager for utilising them.
Absolutely. Okay, let's head to the West Midlands and get some pre-match thoughts from our commentary team, who'll be up there in the gantry to bring you all the commentary. Of course, this game available outside the UK and Ireland. You can get your Matchday pass right now. Let's get the thoughts of our commentary team of Bryn Law and Tony DeRigo.
It's a chilly evening here in Coventry. It's a big night for Leeds United. We'll start by looking at the team news. One change, Tony, to talk about in midfield.
Yeah, so this normally happens when we play away from home. So Gruev has come in and Rothwell has dropped out. So probably add a bit more defensive stability in that midfield area.
Is that necessary, given that Coventry are in good form going into this one?
I think certainly away from home, the way that our performances have been. Take the Burnley one out of it, that's a bit of an outlier. But certainly I think with that experience that Gruev has defensively, I think we still have enough going forward if we can get it to our front men. And so clearly with him getting back fit, getting stronger, he's in tonight.
After last Saturday, everyone will be saying, just go for it. But it's not quite that straightforward generally.
It doesn't work like that, does it? No, it certainly doesn't work like that. We were talking about the Cardiff performance and the way that Cardiff played, and let's be honest, they set up beautifully for us to beat them quite comfortably. This will be very different. Frank Lampard clearly has done a good job here. You know, their recent performances have been solid. Confidences must be there after winning game after game after game. And we know what they did to us last season here, you know, beating us 2-1. So there's plenty of things to suggest this is going to be a difficult night.
But another pressure night as well, isn't it? Because you just got to keep going at this stage, haven't they, Leeds?
You do. Pressure is good when you're at the top of the table. You know, this sort of pressure is absolutely fantastic, and I think the boys will be, you know, relishing it, and hopefully they can use that to really go on and raise their performances. But I think tonight could be a huge statement if we can get the better of this Coventry side, put 3 points on the board. That'll go a long way, I think, to giving us, you know, that extra bit of kick just at the right time of the season.
So, Leeds United this evening, nobody does it better. Well, let's hope so, hey?
Brendan Tony will bring you all your commentary tonight, 7:45 kickoff. Interesting hearing Tony there talk about pressure, but different types of pressure. It's a good pressure to be under. Stewie know exactly what that's like in the Championship to get promoted. When that pressure starts, you just ratchet up a little bit. You must start to feel it, I guess, as a playing squad, that actually you look at the table, we're deep into the season, and there is a really big prize in sight.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I enjoyed the pressure more playing at the top end than I did at the bottom end, and I think everybody's more is the same really. But these are the types of games I've thrived on. playing when there was huge pressure on you to get a win. I much preferred trying to get a win at the top than when we were in the Premier League and we were fighting for our lives at the bottom. So the pressure's huge, but these lads are just taking it in their stride.
We haven't touched much yet on the opposition manager, but let's do that for a moment. Frank Lampard, of course, there is a bit of a checkered history.
Too much limelight.
There is a bit of a checkered history. Yeah. Stu, we'll leave you one out of this one. But in terms of that, it always just adds a little bit of extra spice, doesn't it, to a game like this?
It all goes back to Spygate as well, doesn't it, when he started acting up after he caught Bielsa and what was going on. But, Frank he loves winding players up. He loves winding the opposition up. I played with Frank many years ago, under 18s with England and whatnot, and you know what you get from Frank. So we owe Frank massively. The fans, I can't wait to hear our fans just give it to him. He knows when he comes out the tunnel, it's going to start and he's going to get it and he deserves it.
There you go. It's as clear as that. Stewie, in terms of the job he's done there, to be fair, they're doing all right. They were at the wrong end of the league. They suddenly see themselves within, 3 points of the playoffs now. All right, 11th in the league, but it's very tight in that section. We're kind of spoilt because we're at the other end and there's a big gap there. But they are a team on the up, 4 wins on the bounce. I think 3 defeats in 13, that kind of level of performance. And they're at home tonight. So they're going to fancy their chances, even though we're coming off this big win. Yeah,
they will. They'll fancy their chances, and they are a team, as you say, on form. And obviously they had a bit of success. Last year the FA Cup? They had the run and stuff, and that then brings expectation. Obviously things didn't start off too well with Mark Robins, and they've obviously got rid of him. And since Frank's went in, he seems to have got a real togetherness at the club now, and they're definitely on and up. They've got players. We're just looking at the team there, and they've got players who can hurt you. We know how he likes to play. So Leeds have got a big challenge tonight, but it's one they're more than capable of going there.
Completely different team or style now than what we came up against early on this season.
Yeah, let's take a look at that earlier in the season, because I think it sounds like a silly thing to say. We were a bit disappointed that day because there wasn't much of a game. We thought this was going to be one of those games, they'll come and have a go at us and we'll play them. And in the end, it was a really comfortable win. And it felt like, Bridgie, when teams come to the end of a cycle with a manager, it very much felt like it was one of those.
And it was completely different to the team that we saw in Coventry this season before. So obviously after this run of games, it cost Mark Robins his job. And you can kind of see why from this game. I mean, we were absolutely dominant. So that's why I think it's going to be completely different. Like you say, they're in a much better run of form. They've got a different style of play under Frank Lampard, and it seems to be suiting them. And like you say, looking back on this, I just hope we can replicate what we did on that day, because Stu just mentioned they've got some players. Radoni, the midfielder, I think he is such a talent. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Gruev and Tanaka handle him to stop and get the chances. And Sims had an incredible run in the FA Cup with goals last season. He's a goal scorer, so he's going to be a threat as well. So they're the two players I've looked at and thought, if we can handle them, then we can go and do the business at the other end.
Yeah, it was a strange game earlier in the season because Coventry really just didn't turn up. But last season they were very difficult to play against. And it looks like they're slightly more in that mould now. Not great memories of going down there last year for the team. What's the approach going to be tonight, do you think, from Coventry? Is that going to be a kind of fairly expansive approach against a team like Leeds?
Yeah, I think they'll just go about their business because for me it's a free hit kind of for them as well. They're only 3 points outside the playoffs. Nobody probably expects them to get a result tonight other than Leeds fans, because I think Leeds fans just have a bad feeling about it, judging by social media. But I think Coventry being at home, they'll go for it. And it's been shown that if teams do go after Leeds, they can get chances. But then on the flip side, that's when spaces are left, and that's where Leeds are really, really dangerous.
Well, the stat that's out for me, when we press in the final third, when the opposition have got the ball, the regains that we've got and generated put us on the attack. We're first in that. I looked at them, they're sitting in 14th with turnovers in the final third, so that suggests to me that they don't press. But we had a discussion, they don't press high. We had a discussion, that could have been under the Mark Robins era as well as coming into the Frank Lampard. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. If they sit back and get numbers behind the ball, allow us to play out, it's going to be a tough night. If they're going to come and press with a high intensity and go high, there's going to be spaces for us to exploit. So we'll see which team we'll get when kick-off comes.
Yeah, it's interesting that those stats, when a manager changes halfway through, can be a little bit skewed, can't they? So we'll see what's in store. We've spent far too long talking about Frank Lampard. That's for sure. We're going to draw a line there. we're going to focus on our manager. Here's the thoughts pre-match of Daniel Farke.
First of all, I still want to commend it in this way that Mark Robbins has done an outstanding job. So for Coventry, I think they were in a really, really good position over years and always competitive and always fighting also for the top 6 positions. And also sometimes they came pretty close even to be there with with promotion to the Premier League. I think a fantastic job also in terms of laying the base for foundation also for success and brought some really, really good players in. Obviously the club made a change, and you have to say that Frank is also doing an outstanding job. You always get the form table, means like the last 5 games, they're in position 1 in this league. So the last 4 games was for them win. So we know that they're in a really good shape, really good football side, many attacking options, flexible also in their style. So it's a brave side, and we are fully aware of their strengths, but again, we are also in quite a good shape, and we know that wherever we go, if it's a home game or an away game, and against whoever we play, we have all chances also to win the points. And for that, yes, we are respectful of what they have done. So it's definitely also a side who has all the chances to finish in the top 6. Yes, but we also want to keep going in this difficult away game in order to win as many points as possible. And of course, it's a busy schedule at the moment, also a quick turnaround. Yes, but I rather have right now, perhaps the game right now straight away. And also it's a situation for us. Again, Patrick is injured, but all the others are available. It's more or less a good situation. You never know what the scenario would be in 4 or 5 weeks. And then it's always also a bit nervy if all the others teams have already 1 game more anyhow, and you have to react. So I think it's much better also like to have it more or less as quick as possible out of the way, and then for the run in you can concentrate really on each and every game, and you don't always go through the season with having still a game in hand, and then everyone is speculating how many points will you win anyhow. It's good to have this game also that quickly, although of course it makes out of our schedule still a pretty busy schedule, and we have to keep in mind also like in terms of team selections for the upcoming games, of course.
Daniel Farke talking to us ahead of this match. Bridgie, very quickly on the manager, he will be more aware than anyone else that the biggest danger for a team off the back of a win like that could be complacency. What's he going to be saying to the players to just get them set and reset for tonight's match?
You've just got to say, we want to go again, replicate that kind of performance without being egotistical, arrogant, and we've got to switch on mentally and focus. So the analysis session would have been all the good moments that we showed in that game, a couple of opportunities for them, looking at Coventry, set plays, what to do. So you've just got to make sure that you're switched on and focus and go out there. And like I say, it's very tough to go from here when you've been so high after a performance to suddenly go all the way down there. There's that happy medium. So I'm hoping the lads can find that somewhere, the balance, as we call it, and go out there and perform, because we shouldn't be scared of anybody. And that's the kind of attitude, but you've got to go and you've got to run and you've got to work.
And Stu, one of the things we've seen, particularly in the home games recently, is how precious getting off to a good start can be. The early goals make such an impact, and we know statistically when Leeds have gone ahead in games, they tend not to lose that lead. Getting off to a good start tonight.
Yeah, it's always huge if you can get off to a good start, and I think that has been a problem throughout the season away from home. Certainly earlier on in the season is when we went a goal behind, we struggled to come back and win the game. So it's important they don't go a goal behind tonight, and try and start fast. Obviously a fast start's ideal, but that can't always happen. So if it doesn't, when you're in the habit of starting fast and then all of a sudden you don't start fast, and it's important you stay relaxed, stay calm, and keep continuing to do what the manager's told you to do, what you believe in, and it'll finally come.
Okay, let's ask you how this game's going to pan out. Obviously, it was a bit of a wild one at the weekend, Bridgie.
I'll tell you what, it worked for me last game. When I said it was going to be a close game, it was going to be a 1-0 or a 2-1. I'm sticking by that tonight, and I'm hoping that there's another 7-0, but it's going to be very close.
Okay, Stu, what are we thinking?
I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds.
Okay, there you go. The boys think a Leeds win. Let's hope so. Here come the players. It's a big one again in the Sky Bet Championship. Can Leeds back up that weekend win with some points down at Coventry? Let's head to the Gantry, down at the stadium with your commentary team of Bryn Law and Tony DeRigo.
Cheers, Rich. Two teams have emerged and are on the playing surface. Leeds United will be in the yellow away kit this evening. Coventry, of course, in sky blue, white sky blue.